joining Bailee Bob's Boneyard, where we're all about barkers, blood, books, boxes, and burps. Today's video is going to be a segment of Bookin' It with Bailee Bob, which is the name of my book club. This month we read The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes by Suzanne Collins. Here's what the book looks like. So for those of you that don't know, this is the prequel to the original trilogy of The Hunger Games. So if you're not familiar with The Hunger Games, you're probably not going to be super familiar with this book, so I would recommend, you don't have to read the entire trilogy, but if you want to go watch the movies, this is a really cool book on the background of like how The Hunger Games started, about the president of The Hunger Games. So in The Hunger Games trilogy, the antagonist is President Snow. He's the bad guy. But in this book, he's the protagonist. It's through his point of view, what he went through, how he got to where he got in the Hunger Games. And it's kind of like his evolution, and it touches on why the games came into play and who started them. I write in my books because I like to take notes, I like to annotate and underline and remember certain things. So as far as themes, here's what I wrote in my book. Humanity versus dehumanization, the line between evil and good, betrayal, obsession, savagery, rebellion, what it means to be a rebel, and parallels between the districts and the capital, brainwashing, and hope. If you've seen or read The Hunger Games, you know that it's the districts that are being put into the Hunger Games to kill each other by the capital. And the capital uses methods to dehumanize the district children. And they do this so that the people in the capital don't see them as human beings, so that they don't see the issue with what they're doing. For example, they keep the tributes in cages before the games, and when they need assistance for medical reasons, they gave them a veterinarian instead of a real doctor. Coriolanus Snow, the main character who becomes President Snow, his grandma talks about how district-born children are just savages and that they're not the same. So when Coriolanus Snow meets Lucy Gray, one of the tributes, he falls in love with her and he starts to realize that she's a person just like he is. And there's a blurred line between good and evil, like are district people all naturally just good because they're the victims, and are all capital people evil? And this book really touches on blurring the lines between good and evil. Lucy Gray is a character that represents the humanity in people, and an example that really sticks out in my mind for this is when there's a bomb that explodes in the arena, and this is when they're being shown the arena and where they're going to be fighting for their lives. And she had the opportunity to run away and escape, but instead she chose to save Snow, who was trapped under, I don't remember exactly what, but something fell on top of him in the explosion and he was getting crushed and was going to be burned alive. And she chose to save a capital-born person, someone that put her in the games instead of freedom, because she didn't lose her humanity even though she was stuck in the Hunger Games. Dr. Gall is a character that represents brainwashing. She's a teacher and an educator, and she really uses that power to ingrain in the students that the Hunger Games are good, the capital is good, the districts are bad. And it shows throughout the book her methods, the way that she forces them into thinking that what they're doing is right and okay, and how Coriolanus Snow can't get away from it, and unfortunately she succeeds in brainwashing him, which I'm sure you guys know if you've seen The Hunger Games. Another theme in this book is questioning if mankind is naturally good or evil. Dr. Gall thinks that everyone is naturally evil, and the Hunger Games are her way of proving this. She uses children, people under the age of 18, to go into these Hunger Games and brutally murder each other because their life depends on it, and that's her way of proving, well, if even children are capable of this, then that means it's something naturally born inside of us. Sejanus is a character that he lives in the capital, and he's a capital person, but he wasn't born in the capital, he was born in the districts, and he completely shuns the capital for what they're doing. He puts himself in their shoes, and he would die before he would let the Capitol change him and brainwash him. I'm gonna read a quote now. Dean Highbottom, who's the dean, he seems to be a bad guy throughout the book, and then you realize at the end that he was actually one of the nicest people in the book, but because it was through the eyes of Snow, and Dean Highbottom didn't like Snow because of his association with his father, who we find out created the Hunger Games. Basically, Dean Highbottom is one of the few people that actually is, even though he has a high status and he has a lot of input and has a lot to do with the games, he hates it and he regrets it, and he is addicted to drugs. I don't remember which kind of drug, but he's a drug addict because he hates himself so much, and that's how he deals with it. But here's a quote from him. Lucky says to Dean Highbottom, "One look tells you ours are a superior breed," meaning the capital children versus the district children. "One look tells you ours have had more food, nicer clothing, and better dental care," said Dean Highbottom. "Assuming anything more, a physical, mental, or especially a moral superiority would be a mistake. That sort of hubris almost finished us off in the war." So he's basically admitting, no, we're just richer. We have money and they don't. We're not better than them. We're just more fortunate. Throughout the entire book, the narration refers to Coriolanus Snow as Coriolanus. At the very end, the very last chapter, the epilogue, it finally starts calling him Snow, which is what they call him in the Hunger Games. So that change in narration represents his change of character and how he has finally transitioned over to the evil that he is going to become in the Hunger Games. I really, really loved this book. I loved reading it. I might be biased because I loved the Hunger Games as well. I read that trilogy and liked it, so I could be biased because I already love the Hunger Games, but I really loved this book. I enjoyed reading it. It touched on a lot of really important themes about humanity. I really liked Lucy Gray, and when this turns into a movie, I want to audition for her. She's really fun and animated, and she's a singer, and she's a survivor. If any casting directors are watching this, please let me audition for Lucy Gray when this becomes a movie. So overall, if you like the Hunger Games, I think you'll like this book. If you don't like the Hunger Games, then I don't know, maybe not, but I don't know why you wouldn't like the Hunger Games. But I do recommend this book. Thank you for joining this segment of Bookin' It with Bailee Bob. As always, if you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it and subscribe and keep reading, and I'll see you next time. I don't know where I was going with that. Anyway.